Hi all. Right, eventually back with some more Red Storm, Dark Blue Defection, the solo scenarios. Just the first scenario we're looking at here. Yeah, I managed to record that, but just as I sort of hit a bad spell at work, and it's been over a week or so, I think, since it started, which was a shame because I was kind of itching to get. We'd never really done very much, and I was kind of itching to get back to it. However, it has let some time to pass for to get some comments on that first part, and I was hoping John Brown might follow along. He's watched some of my other videos, and I knew he was very keen on this game. I think this is one of his games that he's pretty keyed up on. Well, he seems keyed up on most of the games that he's commented on, to be honest. But anyway, so he had a few comments to make and keeping me right with a few things. So I'll just go over these just now. So it mentions AWACS. Now, I wonder where that was. It was in the mission briefing where it says 2 flights of F-15s took off at dawn on high alert from Allendorf Air Base as AWACS reported inbound enemy aircraft. And I thought it would be in the glossary of the terms there, AWACS, when he mentioned it. I thought all these abbreviations and acronyms and whatever it is they're called would be on the book. Maybe that is there somewhere, but I couldn't see it in the actual rule book under the glossary and terms bit at the beginning. Yeah, it's basically the first couple of pages. I don't see AWACS. But anyway, John tells me what it is. Airborne Warning and Control System. So nice and simple. He says, for this era, it is an E3 Sentry. These are not represented on map, but represented in the detection rating, right? My thinking of that, an E3 Sentry is one of the big radar planes that flies about high in the sky and looks out for things. So that must be, my guess is that is what's picking up these aircraft, and then we're getting that information passed on to us somewhere along that way. He says it, he says it's not represented on the map, but they are represented in the detection ratings. And well, that's possibly the next bit that we need to go on. Well, we'll carry on where he is, because I was getting 2 or 3 things wrong with that, wasn't I? Yeah. He mentions, I was talking about these waypoint markers that are on here, and I hunted high and low for them through my counter spread. And he says he doesn't think there is waypoint counters in the box game. They're available in the Vassal module. So fair enough. I might try and find myself something for that, just to mark it on the map where they're heading. Yeah, that's going to annoy me, that shadow. And we're now into the winter months, so probably a lot of the recording time's not going to be during the day. Yeah, okay, we'll just need to persevere. He says, you set up the NATO fighters with their identified, i.e. name counter on the undetected side, which is what I've done. These have since both been detected. And he says that is generally how the solo scenarios work, both Dark Blue Defection and regular, and that the human side sets up identified, named flight, while the bot sets up as generic flights, not identified. I suppose that kind of makes sense when you think about it that way. We know what these are. They don't need to know. They've not got the knowledge, as long as they're following rules to detect. The whole bit is detecting and that, isn't it? Right, and then moving on. What have I done there? Hang on. So yeah, this is one bit I was kind of getting wrong. He says the opposing side is the one attempting the detection, so you would use the Warsaw Pact detection level and try to determine if the NATO flights are detected, and the NATO detection level and try to detect Warsaw Pact flights. He says it didn't end up mattering for this round, but it might in the future. So, what did I say they were? Warsaw Pact is a C, and here's the chart here. So Warsaw Pact's a C detection level, and we're a D detection level. So when they're trying to detect us, yeah, so they've got a better detection level than us then, yeah. So I was doing it the other way about, wasn't I? So if we were to go and detect one a NATO flight right now, if we were to check to see if any of them were detected, we would roll dice and it'd be on the C column, so a 12 or greater. Whereas when we're going to check Warsaw Pact, it'll be in the D column. Yeah, okay, I was getting that wrong. And yeah, it kind of makes sense. I don't know, for some reason I thought the NATO would be better at that, but it looks like that's not the case. Okay. And he says same for the track phase. So yeah, again, detection level there, although we only roll once, I must have rolled. Yeah, because when you're doing the detection, it's basically the Warsaw Pact player that would be rolling the dice and checking his detection level to see if he could detect any of our flights. So I must have done the same on the track table as well, I'm assuming. I must have checked them wrong. So again, when we're seeing, uses Warsaw Pact detection rating to determine which NATO flights go undetected. Okay. Okay. I kind of would have thought that might have been the other way about there then, because we're going undetected, but I suppose not. These are detection sort of dice rolls, aren't they? He says it wouldn't have mattered that time as well. So again, yeah, when I'm doing the track table, I use the Warsaw Pact detection level, which is C, to roll the dice to check the NATO flights, and then vice versa. Right, okay. Okay, I was a wee bit baffled by that, but yeah, okay, as long as I start getting into the habit of that. Right, fair enough. Next bit, he says, just a reminder that bot flights don't have to follow the flight path exactly. They just have to remain within 1 hex of the flight path. Now, I did bring this up because I was a bit confused. There was talk of 1 hex, and then there's somewhere else that mentioned being within 2 hexes. Now, just putting the card out there, you can see that these are going up. I think it's the one there. These ones are actually on the line there, and these ones are just 1 hex to the side of it. So that's all legal. They just have to remain within 1 hex, so they don't actually have to be on that line. But yeah, fair enough. He says, for the record, the normal flight path limitation is within 2 hexes of the flight path, but dark blue defection supersedes that to 1 hex. So that must have been where I was seeing. To be honest, I still thought it was a slight contradiction in the dark blue defection rules that I mentioned two hexes at one bit and then 1 hex at another bit. Yeah. Scenario special rules number 3, generic bot flights ignore number no engagement attempt. Instead, follow mission flight plan within 2 hexes using clean movement. And then, but under the actual generic flights, it says follow flight plan A within 1 hex until activated. Unless once that happens, it's like easing that restriction a little. Yeah, okay. We'll see how we're going with that. So he says your movement of the A flight was just fine, but also valid would have been just moving forward 4 hexes, right? Yeah, and then this bit, I remember reading this when he mentioned it. Also, he says the normal rules are once you are within 2 hexes of a waypoint, the next waypoint becomes a new target. He also adds at the end of this, I tend to think the stay within 1 hex of dark blue defection modifies that down to 1 hex as well. So he's thinking, we'll go with that. We'll go with your thought there, John. So once we get within 1 hex of that next, which is that not where we are? No, I don't think we are we? No. We're 2 hexes away from that hex just now. Although going by the normal rules, I suppose that would allow us to now forget about this waypoint and head towards, not that one, the one up here, which you're not seeing. Yeah, but I think what we'll do is we'll do that once we hit within 1 hex, because we've also got that bit that we're playing with the random bot flight altitude, so that's within 1 hex. So once we hit within 1 hex, we'll check for altitude, and then we'll also change our course towards waypoint A3, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, okay, and something else I got wrong. I said friendly flights couldn't stack in the same hex, which something about it bugged me about that, and I probably should have looked it up. But they can, as long as they're at different altitudes. It says C6.4 of the rules. Give me a sec. Let me look at that. I think why I thought that is it's kind of the way it's worded, and I'm not saying it's not worded in a way that tells you what John's said here, but I'll just read it. It says stacking occurs when a flight occupies the same hex and altitude band as another flight. Flights occupying hex sides are stacked with flights in both hexes, but not with flights on different hex sides of the same hex. And then it says stacking is permitted during movement to allow flights to move through each other, but a flight's last movement point cannot be used to stack it with another friendly flight. So I read right through that and not really registered the first part of that when it's talking about what stacking means, when stacking occurs. And yeah, it does say that same hex and altitude band. So yeah. And then, yeah, and the very last bit in that part is flights may stack with enemy flights without restriction. For me, I think if there'd been a wee bit in there that said that friendly flights can stack in the same hex at different altitudes, I think, just a wee sentence that said that. But it does kind of say it in a roundabout way, so maybe I'm being fussy. Yeah. So, right, well, we'll keep that in mind then. So they can stack as long as they're at different altitudes. That's fine. So, where are we? The DBD. The dark blue defection flight logs conveniently include the BVR combat value. Yeah, I think I've eventually seen this, John. I think I eventually realised, now, where is it? Give me a sec. Yeah, I eventually did realise that, and he's talking about, he says, those are the greenish values next to AIM-9M and AIM-7M, yeah. And that was these green numbers here. I eventually did realise that, which is good. That's really good. And also, once I get these cards, hopefully, I've not got them yet, then I'll make it easier. We'll be able to just bring basically a playing card out, and it'll have a lot of this information on it, I think, Although, will it have these? Because these are things that you would normally write down yourself. So maybe it won't. Yeah, maybe it won't have that specific information. It'll have all the information on these, and these are a bit. That's the whole benefit to these small playing cards, where you don't have all this to look through. So, yeah. So yeah, I got that one. It says the yellow values above are the standard combat value, which I'm not seeing them as being yellow. Is that maybe what's on the cards or something? Anyway, it's above. Yeah, it's that number there anyway. It's maybe not yellow on this. I think that's maybe there are different colours on the wee cards, I think. Unless it is yellow and I'm just... Unless, I suppose that is a kind of creamy kind of colour, but anyway. It says the yellow values above are the standard combat value, so that would be that +3. And then in brackets, which is the kind of curly brackets again, isn't it? Yeah, it's a wee bit more clearer there, the bigger numbers. That's the depletion number, and I knew that as well. So I think when you go to check for depletion, whether there's some modifiers, I think depending on how many shots you fire, you'd roll a d10. If you rolled a 4 or less, then that would be depleted. Well, that's a gun actually. In that one, if you rolled a 3 or less, it would be depleted. And yeah, I've noticed a couple of folk mentioned this in the videos that I have watched. It says, while the rules have the specific fuel phase, I usually just mark things off as they happen, so I don't have to remember which flights used dash and or were involved in combat. And I also came across something recently which I maybe didn't think about, as I think if I'm right, you would mark off a fuel step for using dash, but if you also use dash and had a combat in that turn, I think you would mark off 2 boxes for that. Which I didn't really think about at first. I thought, well, dash and combat, that uses 1 fuel, but I think it uses 1 for each. We'll see. Well, I'm sure we'll get kept right if I've got that wrong. And I'm glad they mentioned this bit, because that was a bit confusing me. He does say that, the solo sequence of play is telling you what the AI will do in a given phase. You still use all the applicable phases of the regular sequence of play. So that's good, because I looked at this and thought, this is the admin phase, and there wasn't an awful lot here, but that's just what the AI needs to be involved in. And, well, wherever the other card is, there's that much stuff flying about here. There's a lot going on. Okay, so thanks for that, John. I knew you would keep me right. So we've not... I don't think... Was there something that I would need to change out of all that? I don't think so. I don't think there was anything that needed to be altered. But I'm not really overly fussed if... I know I'm one for not making mistakes. I don't want to make mistakes. My guess is this scenario is quite simple, and just to get you into the swing of things, and probably the first 2 or 3 are going to be like that, just introducing, my guess is scenario 2 might introduce possibly some ground targets or something. It's just gradually going to bring it in. Oh, and I forgot, there's also and again, this was the designer, was it Howard, in it? Howard Rigg? Yeah, when you bought this expansion, you got an got saying that if you were interested, they were going to come out with a campaign, whether it's a separate campaign. So I got that sent to me as well. I guess I would need to print out everything for that and whatever. But that might be good to go if we get right into this. Although there's probably plenty to do here, really, to run through all these 10 scenarios. I'm sure that's going to take quite some time. So maybe we don't need campaigns just as of yet. But it was more content to be able to play this game completely solo, So sounded good to me. Right, okay. So, right, I'm going to have to take a pause for the moment, but that won't matter to you guys, because it'll just be added onto here. I do need to get one more charge. I forgot to charge this camera up again. It was sitting up the stairs for all that week, and I forgot all about it. And I come up to say, right, let's go, let's get into this, and it's not got much charge. So I thought I'd get started at least. And unfortunately, I've been watching the football as well. So the World Cup, football, soccer, use American guys call it, I think, but it's football to me. So what are we at now? We're just at the last game of the 16, so almost at the quarterfinals. So it's not got too much longer to go. But that's been taking up a bit of whenever I've had a bit of free time, I've been kind of watching that. So okay, right, I'll take a wee break for now, and I'll be back shortly. Right, okay, I've been on pause for a few hours, to be honest. I'm hoping tomorrow I might have more time to sort of settle down and get into this. I had a bit of time today and thought I wanted to try and get it moving again, but maybe that wasn't the right thing. But I think what I'll do is I'll try and have another turn at least and move the units. And and hopefully I'll just pause it there. I won't finish the episode there. And okay, so sequence of play. We've got random event phase this time, haven't we? So yeah, okay, how do we go about that? Right, okay, so I was trying to work my way through that. So the sequence of play references random event phase. One player rolls 2 dice and checks for random events. Rule 21, not applicable on the first turn. Well, this is second turn. Rule 21 is random events on page 40. In the random events phase of each game turn, except the first turn, roll 2 dice and look up the resulting event on the scenario random events table on player aid card 2. Follow the instructions there. There may be no more than one random event per game turn. If an event does not apply or cannot be implemented, ignore it and do not roll again. Okay, so this is player aid card 2, and on the back it's got these random events. However, looking at the dark blue defection sort of special instructions, number 11 is ignore the following random events, player aid card 5, and that's why I was like, oh right, well, wait now, player aid card 5, well that is, player aid card 5 is the solo player aid card. Okay, so I'm thinking the random events are going to be different, and yeah, admittedly they've got random events here for the solo side of things, so there's some that we've got to ignore. So we've bought random event instructions, scenario random events, right, give me a second here. Right, I don't see anything in the solitaire rules that talks about what random events. I mean, it does say that you follow the sequence of play on player aid card 5. And player aid card 5, like I said, this is the one that John has said that this is just based on the bot. It does say random events phase. When a random event requires a bot to make a choice or take some action, refer to the list on the solo player aid card, which is this list below. But you see it starts at 5 and goes up to 20, whereas the full set of random events start at 2 and go up to 20. So that means 2, 3 and 4 are not applicable. Is that because 2, 3 and 4 don't apply? I think it probably does. And then in the dark blue defection special instructions, it says ignore the following random events: 5, 6, 11, 14 and 15. Okay. So, I don't know, my guess is if I roll 2, 3 or 4, that's not going to do anything either, I think. Right, let me roll 2 dice then, and we'll see what we get first to start with. Right, rolled 9. I might start showing some of these dice rolls, I guess, because some of them are going to be relevant once we start trying to fire at each other and whatever. Or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I tell you what I've rolled, it's, you know, I've been through all this before in my previous videos. I'm not going to manipulate dice rolls. You could, while you're making video recordings, you could do what you like, really. So I'm not going to do any of that kind of nonsense. But we'll see. We'll see. It might be quite nice to show you the actual dice rolls on certain points. But I think with this, so 9. The scenario random event. Well, hang on. Is that one we ignore? No, it's not. So 9 would be on this. Which I'm not so sure we should be rolling this. Command confusion, roll 1d10 again. 1 to 6 worse impact, 7 to 10 NATO. For that side, flights may not initiate air combats this turn. Oh, okay. And under the, where are we? Right, so here's the solo version of that, and it says 9 to 10. Command confusion. This event only applies to the human player side. Ignore any results that affects the bot side. Oh, right, okay, so that is kind of covering it. And like I say, the fact 2, 3, and 4 are missing, 4 was something to do with the weather, so my guess is that 2, 3, and 4 just don't apply. Worst impact detection levels, shift 1 column to the right. There's you can see 2, 3, and 4 there. And NATO comms failure, NATO detection levels, shift 1 column right. I guess we just don't use them then. Because that one does specifically say, on the solo player aid card here, that this event only applies to the human player side. So this is obviously all that we need, I think. Yeah, I think so. So I don't think it's going to affect. So we must have to look at the actual event. And what did I say it was? Roll 1d10 again, 1 to 6 Wars Impact, 7 to 10 NATO. For that side, flights may not initiate air-to-air combat this turn. So but it's not going to apply to them because it says ignore any results that affects the bot side. So to be honest, right, I'll roll 1d10. I've got a 9. So that would be 7 to 10 NATO. So for us, in this turn, we cannot initiate air-to-air combat, which I think is going to be okay because we're not going to be able to reach things yet. I don't think. Right. So next, I'll just bring that out there. Next phase is a jamming phase. We've already decided, and John certainly didn't mention any of it, that we were missing anything out there. Jamming phase, so I think we need to have aircraft that can do all that. So we're going to skip by that. So detection phase again, roll to detect undetected flights, 10.2, then visual radar search. Well, you need to be within 4 hexes to do a visual search. We don't have any of the radar or LA1 radar abilities, I don't think. So we've just got that standard detection attempt. Now both the NATO flights are detected. So yeah, my guess is we don't need to bother with that. So we do need to check on each of these flights then. And we roll for each one, don't we? Where does it tell us? 10.2 standard detection. Right, hang on. Okay, so ours are detected. So we're going to roll 2 dice for each one of these. We've got, oh no, we've only got the C. It's only the one, isn't there? The other 3 are detected. These aren't identified, but they're detected. We can fire on them, I believe. But, well, once they get a bit closer. So we're just rolling on this aircraft to see if we can detect it. Where's the... Right, so we're the NATO player, and this is where I got things wrong last time, didn't I? So we're the NATO player that has a detection level of D, which is here. So we need to roll a 13 or greater to detect that flight. So we'll only need to roll on the 1. I've rolled a 10 modifiers if they were at deck level. No. So there's no modifiers, but anyway, we only rolled a 10, so that flight stays undetected then. Right, that's fine. Okay, and just before I go into the next phase, there's this solo rules sequence of play. So it is slightly different. It says random events phase, when a random event requires the bot to make a choice or take some action. Refer to the list on the solar player aid, which is the stuff down below this chart. And then the jamming phase is obviously slightly different. There's a detection phase we just went through. Make the maximum number of detection attempts on human player flights. Bot generic flights may not conduct radar searches. So there's some information there. And then it moves on in the movement phase, which is where we're going next. The bot always takes initiative if possible. I remember reading that one before. So, yeah, I think that's the phase we're in now. So, it's down here actually. So, movement phase. So, roll to determine initiative, which is what I mucked up again last time. I was rolling 2 different dice and saying one was for the Warsaw Pact, one's for NATO, but it's not. It's we roll and we're looking for, where is it? Yeah, a 1 to 6 is the NATO initiative, and a 7 plus is Warsaw Pact. Right, we rolled an 8, and as we just noticed on that last parade, but the bot always takes initiative if possible, so he's going to take the initiative. So he's got 4 flights. So now we will draw a chat, I think. Yeah, draw an initiative chats. Again, I'm just going by the play rate cards for the moment with these things. Right, so let's draw a chat randomly. Let's see what we get. They've got, obviously, remove a maximum of 4. It's just a small, what is that? Large 3. Oops. So small 2. So they're going to activate, well, not activate, they're going to move 2 of their flights. Okay, so play rate card 5, I think, gives us how we go about that. Move phase order, chit draw procedure, we've drawn a chit, and then we roll to find a suit. This is 1d10. I've rolled a 3 and 1 to 3. I'll just show you that. I'm not gonna, I think I showed this the last time anyway, but I'm not gonna keep showing all this stuff. 1 to 3 is a heart, so I think it's maybe the C flight, isn't it? The one that's undetected. So we're going to move the C flight, and that's going to be 1 over 2. Well, let's move that first, I guess. So yeah, just checking again. SU-24 Fencer C, and we use the clean. And 445 going by, what is he's at medium, so it's going to be 4, so he's got 4 movement points, and he's travelling at speed 4. So if we need to make any turns, yeah, there's a lot of things to keep an eye on, and because I'm so fussy about getting everything right, although I didn't get everything right, really, did I? Yeah, but I think that's because I'll get there with that, I think. Right, so where are we moving this guy? Okay, so for movement, and I'm understanding we can still move. We can move through. So stacking only comes in when you end up in the hex. Although we are going to be at different altitudes here, and John pointed out to me that we can have friendly fights at different altitude levels. So 1, 2. Now as soon as I hit there, the waypoint marker's here. So 2 things happen there. One is we're going to roll for a possible altitude change with a random bot flight altitude. So we'll roll 1d10 for that, see what happens. I've rolled a 4. Spend movement point to dive to deck. Oh, okay. So that's what he's going to do. And now that was 1-2 movement, so his 3rd movement point is going to drop into the deck. I did sort out some of my counters this recently. So let me switch this up a bit. So a marker for the deck. So yeah, I got, this was John Brown's help as well, which I guess, I think once you play the game, you're going to start seeing where all the chips are, where the best place to put them. But somebody posted, this was a question posted on BGG, getting ready to break the game out, looking for any advice how to organise the many counters, and John Brown's commented how he does it. He uses one GMT tray, which is what I've done. I've got one GMT tray, and I've just copied exactly what you said, John, although it took me a while to find all the counters, find the set, how you've got it set up, and I think that's how he's got it set up. And basically what he does is keeps the rest, all the aircraft, all bagged up, because you're only going to bring them out at the start of the scenario, I would think. I guess there might be certain scenarios where you bring someone through the scenario, but these are the counters that you need access to. Now, I might not have them all in here yet. There's still a counter sheet that I hadn't kind of broke out yet, the Warsaw Pact stuff. Anyway, that's I found that quite useful as well, so good for that. That's flipped over, isn't it? Something's happened there. That's deck, yeah. And that's where we moved that guy down to, don't we? Yeah, so that was his third movement point. And then the other thing that's going to happen is the waypoints here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get counters for the waypoints, just so I can show it on the map rather than look at this, So I'll find something. Okay, I might find something better to mark these with, but just for the moment, they're my waypoint markers there. Little yellow cubes, you might not see them that well, but maybe I should have picked something a bit brighter. But so this unit, this flight is now 1 hex away from this. So it now wants to concentrate on hitting that waypoint marker. So I suppose I'm entitled to, when I make that third movement. No, hang on. It was my second movement, but I spent a movement point to dive as well. But even with that, I'm still allowed to use a free turn, am I? So, and at speed 4, I can free turn up to 60 degrees. So what we're going to do is, I guess I'm going to turn like that. Is that fine if I go right up there? Yeah, it is. That's going to be 1 hex, because I think the actual line of things is right up here, isn't it? So I'm going to be 1 hex. Well, you know what, Grant? You could just go into the hex and keep it straight, couldn't you? Yeah, I suppose. Right, so we'll go 4, and then that's my fourth movement point, and I'll free turn 60 degrees. Like that, yeah. He's staying at deck level. And I can take this waypoint marker away now, I suppose. Well, for the other flights, yeah, okay. Okay, and that was his final movement point, wasn't it? Right, and that was only moved 1 flight, so I need to roll again. Where are we? Yeah. Roll again and see what. I've rolled a 5, that's going to be the spades. Spades will move next, well that's D. So 1. So that's where the waypoint was, wasn't it? So 1, 2, and we'll do a excuse me. We'll do a check to see if it changes its altitude. rolled a 1. So no, that'll be a no change for him. So that was 1, 2. But with that, I'll do a 360-degree turn. And then do 3, 4 like that and keep him at medium altitude. Well, that's what he stays at. Yeah, did I finish? I finished this guy with a turn, didn't I? A free turn. So he should get one of the max turn markers. I don't know if the bot sort of wants to bother about that or not. I don't feel like I've read anything. I think I'll put it on the counter actually there. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to start doing that, I think. So I've got this F15 over here that I finished with. I'll put it on the counter, I think, to remind myself. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that sort of says you don't want to finish on a turn at certain times. I don't think it's a problem. It just means you can't turn when you start your next turn. You can't turn straight away, yeah, so that's fine. So that was the two initiatives of the Warsaw Pact. So they've still got 2 flights to move. You can see this is yeah, it's a bit dull until we get closer to each other. Yeah, I think that's what I thought. I feel like I need to speed this bit up a bit, and I don't like. I know some people do that in their videos. I've seen it before where someone will say, right, okay, and I'll come back when I've done that, and then they've got them all moved together to a point. I don't want to do that. I want to keep it rolling, but it does mean it's going to be a bit slower, I suppose. But hopefully I can speed it up a little bit. But well, yeah, good luck with all that, because yeah. Okay, so yeah, we need to draw a chip for the NATO. Now we've only got 2 flights. So well, we just need to draw a 2 basically, if we can get one. So let's see what we get. Oh, that's not good then, because it's 1 for the large and it's 0 for the small. So we don't get to activate anything, I don't think. We don't get to move anything. And then we now pass across to the Warsaw Pact again. It's probably not that relevant just now because we're too far away from each other, but see, so they've still got 2 flights left. They draw 2. Okay, so they're going to activate their last 2 flights. They're both diamonds, so I don't need to roll dice. It's going to be day 2, and they're going to go in alphabetical order, aren't they? Yeah, that's right. So I'll bring this back out, maybe have a look, but I think we've got some idea. Well, we're heading up to there now. So A is going to go 1 now. Where was it? No, it was there. Oh, I can't remember now. I should have left the wee cube. Does it really matter, Grant? Howson. Oh no, it was. Yeah, no, it was this hex. That's where the marker was. So he's going to go 1 movement there and roll for the altitude change possibility. Roll the 6. Descend 1 altitude band as a free move. So he's going to go down to deck as well. Right, so that was 1 movement, and he's going to do a 360-degree turn for, yeah, still 1 movement, and then 2, 3, 4. So I'll just keep him heading that way, and he's just 1 hex away from the actual flight path, waypoint path, if you like, which is straight up that way. And then finally B One, I suppose he can go. Right, so he goes 1 and then rolls as well. Because they were in front of the other two, weren't they? A 9. Spend movement point to climb 1 altitude band. So he's going to go 2 and go up to high. And, well, yeah, okay, well, I took him on that route, haven't I? So free turn. And then 3. That means I'm going to be in the same hex. Well, we'll find out that they're allowed to be that way, but it's going to be hard to mark them, isn't it? Right, okay. Well, I'm going to do that. So he's going to be at medium. He's going to end up there at high. That's the best I can do with that, I think. That's just going to have to stack them like that, I think. I mean, they don't have to be in the same hex, yeah. I mean, it's just that I moved him into there. I suppose I could have took him up there and up that side, but I don't think it really matters. So they can still sit in the same hex because they're at different altitude levels. Okay. Right, and then that's Warsaw Pat made their moves. Right, so we get to move our 2 flights now, F-15s, and at combat speed they have a 4 as well. So this guy can't turn to start with, so that's just a reminder marker, so I'll take that off. He's just going to go straight. It was in there. So at deck level 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think 4 into there, and that's into a rough hex. Now at deck level and mountain then, I didn't look that up yet, is there a problem with that? I feel like if you're at deck and going over mountains, there's maybe an issue. Right, I was kind of struggling to find that. I did find it, and then page 10, 6.34, mountain terrain. Flights already at deck altitude may not enter mountain hexes. There's an exception that flights with terrain following radar and helicopters, so they must be all right with that. Terrain following radar, 23.22. Yeah, so we need to check the aircraft data chart. Terrain following radar. You know what my guess is? It's probably in the notes there. Hang on, I'll pause it now. Oh, I don't think it is. I just noticed TFR there. Look, TFR, TFR, TFR. So these are capabilities, under the capabilities. So we are F-15C, aren't we? F-15C? Is that right? Oh, I've lost. No, F-15A. We're F-15As. Day one. So, yeah, capabilities has just got night. So, that must mean we can fly at night or something. Yeah, well, it's not got the TFR. So, I think that was important. But that's the bit we're looking for at the moment. So, we don't have that. So, we cannot move into a mountain hex at deck level. Flights already at deck altitude may not enter mountain hexes. If already at deck altitude and forced to enter a mountain hex as a consequence of scatter, treat it like the edge of the map, which I think you re-roll and go into a different hex or something like that. So, yeah, what was my issue here? Yeah, this guy going 1, 2, as soon as he can't move into this hex because that's got a bit of the mountain on it. So, 1. But the good thing about being adjacent to the mountain is, no, you need to be adjacent at deck level, don't you? And I don't think I can go... Well, I need to spend a movement point to go up a level, don't I? So it'd be 1, 2... no, 1, then go up a level, 2, 3... and then 4, and drop down a level. Am I allowed to do that? No, could I go 1, climb to low level for an extra movement point, 2, then move into there for 3, and then move into there for 4, and dropping back down to deck. I want to say that you can't climb, and there's something that says you can't. Let's dive and climb. Climb one altitude band. On completing a climb action, the flight may make a free turn up to the allowance indicated on the turntable. Subsequent climbs in the same movement phase cost 2 movement points. And then dive. Alright, here we go. Flights may climb or dive more than once in the same hex, but may not expend movement point to climb and dive in the same hex. Flights may climb or dive. I see what you mean. I think it means we could move and then climb in the same hex, but we can't climb and then dive in the same hex. So I think I can do what I said. So I can move 1 there, and then my second movement point. I don't know if this is silly or not, but we're just trying to learn what we're doing. So my second movement point is going to climb me up to low altitude. My third movement point is going to move me into the mountain hex here at low altitude. And my fourth movement point is going to move me into here, which is just rough terrain. This is not a mountain. And with that, I'm going to have a free... can I not dive freely? Yeah, move 1 hex straight ahead. On entering a hex, the flight may do one or both of the following: make a free turn, freely descend 1 altitude band. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do for my fourth movement point, is move into there, and then I'm going to freely descend back down to deck. Yeah, because I think that might mean we are adjacent to the mountain, and I think that might mean we get undetected. Or does that matter? Was it nail flights in rough automatically become undetected? Oh well, okay. Right, we'll go with that. Right, so that's all the flights for both sides moved. So that's the finish of the movement phase. We're not within range to launch any missiles. So then the fuel phase, and like John pointed out that, and some others have, that I think if we were to have made a dash throttle move, it'd probably be best just to mark it off while you're in that movement phase. I noticed somebody else mentioned that as well, that they feel that maybe that should be built into the movement phase part of the sequence of play, but maybe there is some reason for it there. Because it does say flights that use dash throttle or engaged in air-to-air combat, so there is 2 parts to it there. Anyway, we didn't do any of that. None of us used dash throttle, and none of us engaged in the air-to-air. SAM location phase, we're ignoring. Track phase, all detected NATO flights at deck in rough terrain. Oh, okay, so it is what I said. So I didn't need to be adjacent to the mountain. We just needed to be at deck level. Well, I suppose I did have to drop that guy back down because we had to go low, but I suppose I could have went round about. You know what? It's probably not that relevant. So both these guys are in rough terrain at deck level, and they're NATO flights, so they automatically become undetected And then all flights at deck and in adjacent to mountain terrain. Well, this one's deck, but it's just in rough terrain, and that's not a NATO flight, obviously, so it doesn't benefit. I don't think there's any mountain here, so this is it. This is deck and in rough terrain as well, so yeah, we have to get used to these. I'm not used to the wee counters. I mean, used to more bigger counters, so I've got smaller tweezers though to try and take care of that, because yeah, so there's no mountain terrain, so none of them are going to be automatically become undetected. So then both players roll on the track table to determine which other detected enemy flights, if any, become undetected. Right, okay. Okay, so right, let's see if I've got this right. So this time it is the NATO player that's rolling to see if any of these flights become undetected with the track table. Is that right? It feels odd, that one, but right, well, let's get the rule book open just to double check that one. So it's rule 10.3 track phase on page 16. At the start of the track phase, all NATO flights, yeah, we've done all that. Each player then rolls 2 dice and consults the track table using the column corresponding to their detection level. The result on the table will be no effect or one or more symbols, a heart, spade or diamond. Each detected flight counter has a heart, spade or diamond printed on it. If a symbol is rolled, all enemy detected flight counters with matching symbols become undetected and flipped over. Yeah, so it does say enemy. So we are rolling as a NATO player with a detection level of D to see if any of these flights get become undetected. So I've rolled a 9. So it's now, there's no modifiers for that, is there? No. So it's a 9, so it's the spades, but they're in brackets, and the brackets, the curly brackets apply. Yeah, I didn't fully read that one. I noticed that when I was reading it over again. I just said that any flights at deck, but there's more to it than that. Results in curly brackets apply to any flight, zoom in a little bit, any flight on the deck, any flight at low on its own side of the front, and any flight in a chaff corridor, which we've not come across yet. However, most of these flights, well, in fact, all these flights are across their side of the front. Now, there is front markers on this. It's that wee dotted line, which comes down here. So NN across that side of that wee dotted line is on their side of the front. So they are on their side of the front. We're looking for spades. That's a diamond. That's a, well, it's undetected anyway. It's a heart, I think, isn't it? But we've got something in here. So the diamond is at high level. So the spade is at medium level, so it needs to be either at, it needs to be deck, which it's not, or low and on its side of the front, so which it's not, it's medium. So if that had been low, that would have became undetected, because it's on its own side of the front, but it's not, so that's that. Put that back there, so none of them become undetected. Okay. Right, so that's track phase done. SAM acquisition phase, no SAMs. Admin phase. Right, there's lots of bits of that, and that's where I was getting a little bit confused, because there's not so much a lot to that. It's just try to rally disordered flights, try to turn all radars with shutdown markers back on, try to remove all AAA suppression. That's what this admin phase is from the bot-sided view. There's a lot more to it there, but I think nothing that we've generate dummy counters. So they mustn't generate any dummy counters then, I'm assuming. Because I talked about the fact that we know there's a dummy flight in there. There's only one, but if we happen to identify that or fire on it and then find out it's a dummy, then it goes away. They're only allowed one dummy flight. That's part of the rules. But I did wonder, I think I talked about it back, where I thought would they not, if we spotted one and it went away, would they not then be able to generate one? But I'm not so sure. Well, maybe some of you can comment on that, or John, let me know if they just don't generate dummy counters. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else we need to do there at all, is there? No, that's it. So that would be the end of the turn, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. So we would move on to turn 3 now. And yeah, still not an awful lot happening. Yeah, I can see I really do need to speed things up a bit here, but I don't want to jump ahead and just say, right, now we're here and we're close to each other, let's fight. I just want to keep the camera rolling and play it through. My guess is that as the scenarios go on, then there's maybe going to be a bit more to do and a bit more to look out for as these turns go by. But it could well be that the first 3 or 4 turns are a whole lot of nothing, just moving into position. But I will when I get up tomorrow. I've got a good bit of time tomorrow. And I was up early this morning for work, so I'm a bit drained, to be honest. So, but I'm off tomorrow, so I should get a chance to sit down and play a bit more of this. And hopefully I'll speed this bit up a bit, and hopefully we'll get into range to fire at each other. Yeah, okay. Right, yeah. Well, I'll leave that for now. That's gone an hour again. I've only had one turn, not done an awful lot. Yeah, it's maybe going to put some of you off all this, really, isn't it? But yeah, unfortunately, that's just how I am. I will hopefully speed this part of it up a bit as we go. Okay, right. Well, I'll be back tomorrow at some point. Cheers.